All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Christmas Eve edition of Bitcoin Brief with your hosts, Tone Vays and the one and only Jimmy Song. Just going to be us two today. A bit last minute, a little hectic. I've been flying all night, but we have to do the show. It's Christmas Eve. Jimmy, how are you spending this Christmas? Any family over? This is like crazy. This is the craziest Christmas ever.
I have a big enough family that, I think I'd be violating all sorts of things if I had any people over. So I think I'm just going to stick with my family.
Yeah. Like the Christmas memes are crazy. I should have pulled one up. It's like what you expected resistance to look like. And it's like, you're there with guns defending something. And it's like what actual resistance looks like. And it's like a family at a dinner. You ever seen those?
Yeah. It's the conspiracy theorist is the one that's having people over, and the other one, the mainstream person is alone in his room in his basement with a computer.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm like Googling for it now. I can't find it. Like it's so hard to keep up with everything, man. Like so much is going on. So much shit went down in the crypto space just last week. It's insane. But here's the good news. Bitcoin's birthday is coming up. We got January 3rd. In case anyone's wondering where I got this sweatshirt, it's from Satoshi Corner. Check that out. And we're going to be doing an epic stream here. I want to try and go 24 hours, man. I mean, it's I'm thinking about it. If I'm in town, I'm traveling, man. I'm done. I'm going to go insane. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to go postal if I can't travel. So I'm traveling. And here's the thing, and I'm an idiot too. Instead of like hunkering down during COVID, I should have paid attention to what the airlines are doing with their reward points, right? And you're gonna laugh, Jimmy. So here's how, this is like a cross between regulatory arbitrage and perverse incentive. So United has, and most airlines has significantly lowered their requirements to actually have some kind of a status for free upgrades. All the flying I've ever done, I've never even made silver in any freaking airline, right? And then all of a sudden, in the middle of quarantine, I become silver without even flying. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? So they lower the requirements by like 75%. And I realized this. So now with my set of flights the other day, I became gold. And now I'm looking at my freaking status. And if I fly 3 more times this year and spend $1,500, I become platinum. And I'm like, shit. So for no reason whatsoever, I am going to be flying to Washington, D.C. this Sunday to have lunch with someone and then literally fly back like 4 hours later.
But that's only one flight, though.
No, that's 2. It's a round trip.
Oh, okay. All right. So each leg counts?
Well, yeah, it has to. Yeah. Each flight. Okay. Right. So, and then I'm going to be going down probably to Miami for New Year's. So those are my 3 flights. Now I'm buying the most, but look at the incentive, right? It's COVID. You're supposed to stay home, but the airline is forcing me to fly for selfish reasons in order to have better status for the next year or 2 years. Like, how the fuck does this make sense?
Well, I mean, this is what happens when governments bail out airlines, that they spend it on kind of stuff that doesn't actually affect their bottom line that much. It's
right.
Making government bureaucrats that fly a lot happy because they haven't been able to keep their status.
And here's the other crazy one, right? So now that I've been flying, all I see is the oldest, most out of weight, most out of shape airline employees from at the airports, on the plane itself, and they fired all the young healthy ones because they don't have seniority. They retain the most oldest, unhealthiest ones, but COVID, and now I have to wear a fucking mask on the airplane because they got rid of all the healthy people. And all the other people, they're scared for their life, but they want those jobs. Like, the airline should have used COVID as an excuse to dump their, union seniority labor to save the freaking airline.
That's exactly why they like when you take bailout money, you can't do stuff like that, right? Like the unions are going to get angry, and then you're not going to get any bailout money, and you end up satisfying the people that pay you the money, and that's not the customer. So as much as the customer would like to have younger, healthier flight attendants, you get actually older, sicker, more vulnerable,
and much nicer too.
Yeah. So I mean that's what happens.
Like the more seniority you have, like the nastier you are to your clients.
Yeah. There are lots of reasons for that, but let's just.
All right. Anyway, let's move on with the show. We've chatted long enough. Hey guys, tomorrow I might do like a Christmas special trading show. I should, Willie Wu just came out with his newsletter. I should message him now, see if he wants to jump on tomorrow. I'm literally messaging him now. Hey, do you want to do a Christmas show tomorrow? All right, maybe Willie Wu can jump on. Okay, cool. All right, let's go to the stories. We got a lot going on. We're going to start with one of our favorite punching bags throughout the years, and that is, of course, Coinbase. We've done this story before. We're not going to spend much time on it, but Coinbase has filed for an IPO. We all knew this was coming right in the middle of this mess. Now, Brian Armstrong also came out a week or two before the big announcement from FinCEN about being concerned how the regulations are going to hurt his company, and they actually might. But Coinbase is going IPO. A lot of people still use Coinbase. We can't talk them out of it. A lot of people will continue to use Coinbase. And I'm not sure what the valuation is. Jimmy, do you know off the top of your head?
I mean, I think it's 8 billion was the last round that they did. So I'm going to guess that when it IPOs, it'll be about 30, or that'll be the roadshow. And then once it goes public, it'll be in the 40 to 50 range. That's just my guess. No real numbers to back that up. Just numbers based on like how much you inflate over the previous one and so on.
Right. Oh, there it is. December 8th was an $8 billion valuation. Look, I can see the stock pumping once it actually eventually goes IPO, because anything with the word blockchain in it or Bitcoin in it is just pumping. But we'll see. By the time they actually go IPO, it could take another year, and they could time it perfectly with another Bitcoin top and bear market. So it's too early to say anything about it. But any general thoughts on them going public?
Yeah, I mean, I see going public these days as not really like making it. It's a way for VCs and people to dump to the public. And sorry, cedar fever a little bit here. But that's essentially what they're doing is they're dumping on the public, I think, or that's how I would interpret it, and trying to take advantage of sort of the mania that exists. There's no real good store of value right now. So a lot of stocks are pumping. This is the time to get into the public sphere, and this, they're obviously positioning themselves as something in between a stock and Bitcoin, and it will have its attractions for people, and it will be wonderful for all those VCs that got in early. They'll get the dump and invest in something else. Good for them. I mean, I'm no big fan of Coinbase, but that's probably what's going to happen. I as far as like as an investment, I would say that they make probably way too much of their money from altcoins, and don't emphasize Bitcoin enough, which is why I don't use them anymore. But I mean, this is for the public to decide, and look at their prospectus and read it carefully, because they have to disclose all the ways in which they're vulnerable, and they might not do well, and so on. And there's a reason why a lot of Bitcoin people have moved on from Coinbase to other services that are much better.
All right, I don't really have much else to add on this. I mean, it's right there. We'll know more about this as the IPO gets closer and closer. People are still upset over my comment that the airline should fire the old people. Well, it's simplifying it a little bit. When your airline is running a seniority kind of unionized shop, This is what destroys companies, and then they need public bailouts. You want the best, youngest, and smartest employees. Seniority should not keep you in your job.
Well, I mean, that's not even the worst of it. The most senior people get paid the most, provide the least value usually, and with COVID, they're also the most vulnerable. So they already have a pension. Like, just get it. Like, you're gonna pay them for the next however much longer anyway, because you have a pension that you promised them, or 401k or retirement or whatever. Give the younger folks a chance. That, I mean, those are the people that are really suffering.
And if you ever fly like Ukrainian Airlines or Asian Airlines, you understand. All right. Next story. Okay, so this hit the market like a ton of bricks. I've been screaming this for 5 years, and the SEC moved slow, but move they did. And this is a bit controversial. So this is the argument that I always have with Giacomo and sometimes you, Jimmy, where I get called a statist but there's two things here. There's two things going on. First of all, what I want to happen and what I think will happen are two different things. Now, sometimes I'm saying that certain regulation is coming doesn't mean I want it to happen. Now, in this particular case, I actually wanted this to happen because Ripple is a plague on the crypto space. And everyone not everyone, well, for Ripple, a lot of people were critical, but not enough people were critical. And the crypto space doesn't always police itself very good because everyone wants to be nice. So eventually, another statement very popular on the show that Jimmy and I always use, we don't need to dig into a shitcoin. We can read the basic headline of a shitcoin and we know exactly what is happening under the hood. And every time you look under the hood, it's always worse, like magnitudes of scale worse. So all those years where people say, well, prove Ripple is, scammy. Well, why? The SEC is doing multiple years of research and is putting it all together, and they presented it for you. So these are just like some of my little clips that I've put together over the years. But here's the SEC's official statement. Let me just show you why Ripple is in trouble. So this is literally from the Ripple Labs about page at one point, where it says Ripple Labs is the creator of Ripple. They scrubbed that from their website as they tried to separate themselves from the Ripple token. Because back then, Ripple and XRP were exactly the same thing. There was Ripple Labs, and there was Ripple Labs, and then there was Ripple. Ripple was literally XRP. That's how everyone saw it. Ripple Labs hopes to make money from XRP if the world finds the Ripple network. There was a Ripple network and Ripple the token. XRP is Ripple the token. The Ripple network useful and broadly adapts the protocol. Ripple Labs plans to gift 55 billion XRP to charitable organizations, users, strategic partners, and ecosystem over time. So they never fulfilled this promise.
That's always a scam, like red flag for me. Anytime they mention any sort of charity, any of these white papers, it's like immediately you feel like you need to whitewash what you're doing with charity things. That means there's it smells, right? Like that's why you need to do that.
This is really old stuff. I mean, all of this has been scraped from the net, so it's really hard to find it. The company will retain a portion with the hope of creating a robust and liquid marketplace in order to monetize its only asset sometime in the future. They literally spelled out the scam the whole way through, and then there were guides from Ripple about their giveaways. Here's another example. This is why Ripple Labs distributes XRP. If we distribute XRP with these goals in mind, over time, we expect an increase in XRP leading to an increase in price. They're saying it right there, strengthening XRP exchange rate against other currencies. This is part of the Howie test. We should look up the Howie test. Ripple Labs overview. Ripple Labs plans to retain 25% of all XRP issued. So the numbers already don't match up with the other screenshot of XRP issued to fund operations and hopefully turn a profit and distribute the rest to incent and participation of market makers, giveaways, and consumers to utilize the protocol. As demand for XRP grows, the value of XRP should increase. So here they are talking about creating an expectation of profit. Over time, if the Ripple protocol becomes widely adopted, demand for XRP may increase, leading to an increase in price. So this was in the documentation. I linked the documentation on a different tweet. This article, we can go get it from my website. But the SEC eventually came out filing a case against Ripple and only two of its C-level managers, Larson and Brad Garlinghouse. I really expected the CTO, Joel Katz, to be there as well. And I really expected, what's his name, Jim McCaleb, to be part of this as well. But somehow those two managed to avoid this. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but because it doesn't go into the details. But if you want to see details, what you want to click on is this, the SEC complaint. This thing is 71 pages, and people have been reading this and highlighting, and it is like really, really fascinating. The information they have. Apparently, SEC got their hands on an email from the early days of 2012 where Ripple was advised that this is a security, and they ignored that legal advice and went ahead and did it anyway. So a lot of this is looking very, very bad for Ripple. And obviously it's scaring the market. Now, this was insane. So what I tweeted out was like, now everyone is like, we're in this together. We're in this together. Join our fight against, the big bad SEC. And look, I'm not happy with the SEC. The SEC is sometimes grossly incompetent, and that's why they may not even win this case against Ripple. But in this case, I'm with the SEC on this. Like, as much as we hate the SEC, the SEC is right, and it was obvious that they were right. Now, here is the kicker, man. I don't know if you saw this, Jimmy. So this is from the Ripple website. I'm not making this up. They posted their statement against the SEC. And here's what they write. The SEC's theory that XRP is an investment contract ignores the economic reality that XRP is and has long been a digital asset with a fully functional ecosystem and a real use case as a bridge currency that does not rely on Ripple's efforts for its functionality or price. Then they write, XRP is a currency. XRP is similar to Bitcoin and Ether. They actually wrote this. I shit you not. This is from Ripple.com.
Well, I mean, it is similar to Ether in some ways. I wouldn't say it has anything in common with Bitcoin, though.
Well, it's got something to do with Ether. They were both, ICOs. But at least Ether is still has a mining structure. And way more decentralized than the Ripple. Anyway, if you read their statement, it's like, man, it's like so scammy. Like, stop comparing yourself to Bitcoin. You're not. You're an unlicensed, unregistered security. We can go through the Howie test that the SEC specifically claimed. It's an investment of money, which it clearly was. As much Ripple as you gave away. People did invest an investment of money in a common enterprise, which is Ripple, supporting the network, with an expectation of profit due to the effort of others. That's exactly what they did. Now, for more information, guys, I have all these links in the video description. I want to give Jimmy a chance to comment here. So Bitcoinist published an article a long time ago, What Tone Hates Most About Ripple. And I wrote it right here. XRP is just a security masquerading as a cryptocurrency. That was number one. XRP has no real utility. That was my Problem number 2, XRP is not decentralized. That was number 3. And number 4, Ripple's business plan is dishonest. So these were my 4 points out of a dozen points that I wrote. For a little more information, please check out my video with Peter Todd. Now, I did not talk about the security aspect of Ripple in my video with Peter Todd because Peter Todd is a developer like Jimmy, and we talked more about the technical stupidity of Ripple. But if you want to know the SEC, the security problem of Ripple, just go watch Ethereum Part 1 somewhere. In Ethereum Part 1, where the hell is that? Shoot. Crypto scam, Ethereum launch, right there. Ethereum launch with Jason Seibert. This is where we talk about how Ethereum broke SEC's security laws, and it's identical for Ripple. Ripple broke them in the same exact way, only the SEC did not go after Ethereum, but they decided to go after Ripple. I guess they had more evidence. What else do I have? Everyone is asking who's next. We'll save that question. High-flying crypto fund dumps XRP with, the price of Ripple is dropping fast. Get out of that sinking ship. Jimmy, floor is yours. Sorry, I took way too long introducing this book.
Well, I think you have every right to crow about this. You've been on this bandwagon for many years, and I think your judgment has been vindicated by the SEC in a way that was surprisingly in agreement with exactly what you said. So I think for anyone that has sort of criticized Tone for his criticism of XRP in the past, well, how do you like them apples, right? That's basically what Tone is saying to you. I don't have that much to add other than that, we knew this was coming. We've been saying this for a long time. There's a central point of failure here. And whenever you have that, the government has the ability to go and control it by going suing or charging that central point of failure. Now, this one happens to be the SEC, and they have particular rules and whatnot. I don't really care to know too much about all of the specifics of why they charge them or how they charge them. But this is the natural vulnerability that happens when you have a central point of failure. And Ripple clearly has a central point of failure, one that is almost exactly aligned with what the SEC is supposed to enforce. So they're perhaps one of the first ones to fall prey to government intervention. But every other cryptocurrency other than Bitcoin has something similar. And that's something that that you have to know as if you have any altcoins, or if you are thinking about buying altcoins, or if you own any, there's always this vulnerability that will always be hanging over your head. This is why previous things to Bitcoin didn't work. Eagle didn't work for that reason, because it was centralized. And lots of other systems where they tried to create their own currency, usually some government organization came in to, basically say something about that. And you could see exactly what's happening with Ripple right there. 26 cents. It was over 50 cents less than a week ago. And that's kind of crazy. It's gone down 54%. I expect that it will continue going down. Who knows who the buyers are at this point, but certainly if you're an institution, you dump this thing like a hot potato. And I expect any institutions that have other cryptos or other than Bitcoin, they're doing similar things. This is why stuff like Chainlink and Cardano are also down 15, 20% or whatever, because they all every investor, institutional investor, is quickly realizing, oh, what if the SEC says that these are also securities? What the heck are we going to do? We can't be owning these, and so on. Ultimately, though, I do think that at some point Ripple settles with the SEC, perhaps finds them an enormous amount of money, and XRP, they have to dump a ton of the XRP that they have in order to pay for it, maybe on the order of a few $1 billion, given that their market cap is what, 11 billion right now. That's going to be a big hit on their price. We'll see what happens.
Well, You know, a lot of it is actually going to depend on SEC's intentions. Like, what does the SEC want to gain from this? And I really need to do a law show with those lawyers to see what's going on, because unlike, look, I disagreed with the SEC going after Telegram's token a little bit. I thought Telegram tried to do the most honest token they could. And the SEC shut that down before that token even like came into existence. Now the Kim token, they launched there, but that thing was worthless. Nobody cared about it. This is different. So here is the thing. Here is my biggest question. And I've been asking that question to the lawyers before this case was filed, and no one could answer because the case wasn't filed. If the SEC wins its case and proves in court that Ripple XRP is a security, then unregistered security, like exchanges, can't trade it. Like Coinbase can't trade Ripple if Ripple is a security, because I don't think Coinbase has a license to trade securities. So Coinbase would need a license, and if Coinbase can trade securities, then they can trade Apple stock. So which exchange would Ripple trade on? So Ripple, the XRP token, because remember, you know why I think they did this? Because Ripple was going to double dip. You see, this is the problem, and I mentioned this when we talked about Michael Saylor, and I like Michael Saylor. He's great for Bitcoin, but he's buying too much Bitcoin, and we're not going to do anything about it, but it could be a potential concern. So it's kind of like, wow, I can make all this money. So if we look at Ripple Labs, they already created this token, and then they started talking about going IPO. So now they were going to double dip. They already have an illegal security, and now they were going to create a legal security. Like double dipping, because the billions of dollars they already have is not enough. And I think that was the last straw for the SEC. And they're like, screw you. You already have a security. So you don't get to IPO on the traditional market. So if SEC wins, they can force Ripple to say, well, this is already a security. So now go get your IPO, go get that status, and you can convert these XRP tokens into shares of an actual security on a real traditional exchange.
Well, we'll have to see exactly how that plays out, but we're all curious.
So everyone is wondering who's next. And I think Stellar is a good bet, because they're simply a clone of Ripple. And that could be why Jeb McCaleb wasn't named, because it might be coming. Because him going back to Mt. Gox, him going back to Ripple, like he has to be on their radar. And I can totally see it. And just to refresh people's memory, because our friend, Mr. South Africa of CNBC Africa, Ryan, who hasn't met a shitcoin he hasn't loved, I would buy XLM here. It's down by association to XRP, but the legal fundamentals are different. XLM didn't dump billions of tokens on the public to fund a company. They are decentralized, run by a foundation, raised minimal capital, etc. And I had to remind Ren that the reason why they didn't have to dump is because the creator of Stellar and the Stellar Lumen token is Jeb McCaleb, who at one point was selling almost 2 million Ripple tokens per day, collecting $500,000 per day, until Ripple, the company, stopped him from doing it. And that's when he decided to, like back then, to go and just, well, I'll just fork Ripple and create my own money. That's how all of these things happen. Like when you don't like the rules of the system, you go and create your own money. This is what Roger Ver did. This is what, Charles Hoskinson did a couple of times, and others. This is what they do. And Marissa Shea is doing it now. Like, you don't like the rules, so you go and make your own. This was my criticism of the Decred people. that were using the fact that they programmed a few lines in Bitcoin core code. And I said, no, don't go printing your own money. That's all you're doing, at printing your own money. Anyway, so I think Stellar is ripe to be next, but any one of these things can do it, including Polkadot and especially Binance Coin and Cardano and Chainlink. All of them are in danger. I think Monero and Litecoin are okay. The SEC already screwed up with Ethereum, so that one's probably okay. And what do you think, Jimmy?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to guess Cardano and Stellar are probably your two best bets. They have clear founders and things like that. And yeah, but I don't think Ethereum's out of the woods. I mean, like, you know, people used to make fun of me because I was like, you know, what happens if like a lot of these founders and people, what if you go to jail, right? Like after these ICOs. Now, I know the SEC doesn't put people in jail, okay? But FinCEN does. And there's a lot of other you know, government agencies that can charge you with some crime and put you in prison. There's definitely, I think that's out there, and depending on how hurt people get and how much of a financial fraud these are determined to be, I could see attorney generals going after you know, some of these ICOs, for example, and saying, hey, you know what, we need to bring some criminal charges. This is not okay that you screwed over all of these people. I mean, like, this is government intervention, and this is the playbook that they know, which is to go after the central point of failure. XRP is just the first domino. There's going to be a lot more.
Right. And a lot is going to depend how this case shapes out, because if the SEC can win this case, they can bring the same case against many other ICOs.
Yeah, and if they have to settle for like 50% of their market cap, imagine. Yeah, I guess what's happening to all your coins on those. I mean, there's a reason why all these things dumped like crazy as soon as this announcement happened. It's because you know, like, people are putting two and two together. Oh, if there is a central point of failure, my funds might not be that safe, right? Like,
I mean, in hindsight, we all made fun of the SEC for only charging XLM like what, 0.003% of the amount of money they raised.
This is EOS,
sorry. And maybe they saw something. This thing is gonna die on its own anyway, so who cares?
I don't think so. They got 140,000 Bitcoin. I don't think that's going away, and that they did very smartly.
That is unfortunate. Oh wait, do they?
They do. I don't think it's on this list though.
Block one.
Yeah, right. 140,000. Yep.
Yeah, so EOS ain't going away because they have 140,000 Bitcoin. See, this is what happens when you invest in garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And
you make somebody else rich. Yeah, that's exactly what you did.
And the Tezos Foundation has 24,000 Bitcoin. This is what happens when people want to chase that penny stock. They give one guy 140,000 Bitcoin. Whoever that guy is, I don't know. Whoever's the mastermind of Block One, Dan Larimer.
Block One. I mean, he's not with that anymore. This is how like Michael Saylor made a ton of his money. Is he sold the domain voice.com to Larimer for like $50 million, and Larimer is doing something with the voice.com now.
Okay, so Larimer's already moved on to another scam.
Yeah, voice.com. This how like Michael Saylor made a ton of money.
Look, Larimer's not going to stop, man. Someone like some regulatory agency will have to stop him. Like, he's not going to stop. He's just going to create more scams.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir, man. And we all know that this is going to happen. And, you know, like, the just desserts will come for all of these people that we think are scammers. It's just going to take some time. And they have very high time preference. They don't mind sort of going from one scam to another and scamming lots and lots of people. You know, if they're going to do that, well, the consequence, you can't say nobody warned you. And, you know, have fun being, you know, being fined or becoming a notorious person or whatever. So,
hey, you know who's missing from this list? The Drapers.
They are not publicly traded. So I think they would probably qualify as a private one. And we do know that Tim has a ton with his fund. So yeah, I mean, Tim Draper, you should email Rodolfo and get on this list.
I don't know if he wants to be on this list.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. I'm sure there's a lot of whales here that that aren't on here that easily
It's
could be.
It's like the ledger list you don't want to be on, which we're gonna talk
Yeah, I mean,
about.
and you know, the Winklevoss twins aren't on here either. So, you know, I mean, that's
true. Well, those are personal holdings though, but like
yeah,
but
I think it is for Tim too. That's the thing.
Oh, so no, I mean, like Galaxy Digital is on here. I mean, that's
but that's a fund. So Mike Novogratz probably has Bitcoins outside of Galaxy Digital Holdings,
right?
But that's not on here.
All right, let me close a bunch of these tabs since we don't need them anymore. But yeah, this Ripple. Oh, I forgot. Okay, Control Shift T. Let's bring that one back. So this was linked. This is one of the reports actually. Before we end the Ripple thing, so I did link this in one of my tweets. If I bring back one prior tab, this was the tweet right there, and nope, sorry, this tweet, and there was a link right here to where I got some of these screenshots, not all of them. And they're from this document, the Ripple protocol, a deep dive. This is Ripple trying to explain their decentralization from 2014. This is very difficult to find. I was able to find it. I had a copy of it saved in my computer for a long time. So check this out. Check out this insanity. But what I'm finding very odd is I would love to read additional documents that this references from Ripple's website. And lo and behold, they're not found. So, for example, Ripple, or is it Ripple giveaway primer? I would absolutely love to read this document. Unfortunately, when you click on it and it goes to the Ripple website, oh boy, look at this, it's not there. So there are some awesome documents linked within this document. And if you can find these documents, I think there will be a treasure trove of amazing information from 2014, what Ripple intended to do with the token, but they are now gone. So there you go, guys. Here's a little reference. This is not even all of them, but some of them are here. But of course, they are missing. Ripple market making. Is that one still around? Nope, there it is. It is also missing. Okay, probably evidence as part of the SEC's case. Okay. Speaking of regulation, we got hit, you know, on the midnight hour by FinCEN and Steven Mnuchin. And okay, so before I talk about this situation, so I get a lot of shit for being a Trump supporter, and Trump isn't exactly the most Bitcoin friendly president. But guess what? You ain't gonna get no Bitcoin friendly president. If you think the fossil that's about to come in is going to be friendlier to Bitcoin than Trump, he's not. Okay. So this is the same dilemma. When people say, you know, Trump and the Republicans printed so much money. First of all, that's Congress's job, not the president's. And second of all, the other guy would have printed more. Now, that's not an excuse for Trump. But saying that Trump printed a lot of money is ridiculous. Money was being printed. If you saw Trump's speech the other day, at least Trump is trying to print money for the American people, not have 80% of it go to foreigners. Like, so same thing here. So look, Trump is not a fan of Bitcoin. No politician is a fan of Bitcoin. Ron Paul, that's it. Our new senator from Wisconsin. That's it. That's the list. That's literally the list. So they're not going to let this shit slide. So the good news is, the only good news is, your private keys that you own yourself are still safe and are not part of this KYC requirement. But prior to this law going into effect, and this law is supposed to go into effect early January with their stupid comment. So there is an additional restriction for $10,000 transactions and a brand new restriction coming in for $3,000 transactions. So without this like law, what was happening was the government would have to request information on these transactions from companies like Coinbase. Now, companies like Coinbase are required to provide personal information on every $3,000 transaction directly to the government, so they no longer have to ask for that information. Now, this is bad, of course, but it's not as bad as it could have been, because this law could have said any $3,000 transaction from any person to any person in crypto, and then it's time to really get the fuck out of the US. Now, this is still bad. Jimmy, do you need me to give you, are you up to date on this? Or I'm going to give you more like...
No, I have a good idea. I mean, I would disagree that it's just Ron Paul and Senator Lummis. We certainly have Warren Davidson, who went on noted to speak specifically about this rule and said, you know, this is really bad. He also voted against the Corona Bus legislation, which is a combination of the coronavirus relief bill and omnibus spending bill. So I like Warren Davidson. I think he's doing a great job representing his district in Ohio, and he's a Bitcoiner. So I think he's doing a great job. Now, as far as this legislation goes, the big thing seems to be that there's a limit of like $3,000 per day that can be withdrawn to quote unquote self-hosted wallets if this rule goes into effect. Now, it's not entirely clear what needs to happen.
Whoa, are you sure about that? I didn't see that. $3,000 a day limit?
Something like that. Like
No,
that.
No, you can withdraw as much as you want. Just every $3,000 transaction gets reported immediately to FinCEN.
Right. So if you keep it below 3,000, it won't get reported. That's it.
It won't. However, there's still, there's loopholes on top of loopholes for the government. Like, you're still supposed to file a suspicious transaction report. So if you do, a dozen $2,000 transactions every day at noon, you might eventually, get your information sent to them as well.
Right. But that's at least my reading of it. The big thing about this legislation that's not entirely clear is when it goes into effect and how it goes into effect and who needs to who has the regulatory authority to make it go into effect. I don't think anyone's really had a definitive thing in that regard. A lot of people on Twitter are treating it as if there's 15 days of comment and then this rule just goes into effect right away. I don't think that's what happens with these kinds of rules. There's usually some sort of oversight, and government things tend to be kind of bureaucratic. So it's possible that it gets lengthened and that it doesn't come into effect for many months from now, by which, it might get killed, or there's a lot of hurdles before. So I don't think the amount of freak out that people are having on this is necessarily needed. There's obviously it could be pretty bad, but there's a process here, and government bureaucracies are complicated, and we don't exactly know how it'll go into effect and so on. So that's what I would say.
Okay. But keep that in mind that now if you're going to withdraw $3,000 from an exchange that follows regulation, they will need additional information from you, and they will be reporting that to the financial services departments. Okay, so now let's talk more crazy news from the week that passed. Now, this happened a while back, but now everyone has seen it, and over 200,000 customer emails, phone numbers, names, and addresses from Ledger's database of customers has been leaked on the internet, causing some very unfortunate situations like death threats, because your neighbors now know you bought a Ledger. So here is one example. I don't know if you've seen this, Jimmy. Someone posted on Reddit. Earlier today, I have received a phone call from a fake number. It appeared as the phone number of my local police station, a male. I'm just going to summarize it for you. So someone who with a drug addiction is demanding 10 Monero. Clearly, that person was misinformed as to how Monero is more useful than Bitcoin. And he basically says, if you don't give it to me, I'll come to your house and I'll basically kill your family. So this guy obviously called the police. The police was nice enough to like send someone to the house to just watch the house in front. This is a very unfortunate end result. I hope your information was not on that list, Jimmy. I did not search the list. People I know were searching for names that they knew. This is bad. Your general thoughts on this?
Yeah, and the if you want to know if it's in there, the file's sort of just floating around on the internet at this point. So
I mean, I have the file. I have the file downloaded, but like I have better things to do with my time than to like control F on my friends' names.
Or you could just do grep or whatever if you know the command line, which is what I did. I don't think mine was on there, so thank God. But yeah, this just points out how security, the security of your information is only as secure as the cumulative or the weakest link in everyone that you shared it with. So the scarier, more sensational things are in the stories that you just showed with death threats and things like that. The more practical reality is that you might have your phone SIM swapped out. You might get, certain accounts, people might try to take over some of those accounts and try to take your Bitcoin that you might have on an exchange or whatever, which you shouldn't have anyway. So essentially, if you have good security practices, this, while annoying, wouldn't necessarily be terrible. But a lot of people buy ledgers because they're thinking that they don't know enough about security, so they'll get this. So it's really unfortunate. I really hope that Ledger, does something to compensate everybody whose information was lost.
I'm not sure how that's possible. I don't know how good their margins are. Look, this is obviously bad. I'm going to attempt to spin it into what good can come out of this, and lots of good can come out of this. Not for the people who got doxxed, but for everybody else. Also, like this doesn't, you have a company that's supposed to secure the most, valuable asset in the world. It doesn't make your company look good when you can't secure user data.
Certainly does not.
Let's start there. Okay. Now, how come they're not encrypting this before it goes into their server?
Usually because you don't encrypt database rows that aren't passwords. That's just how it is.
That's a concern because people need to start doing that. Now, here is the potential good that can come out of this. If enough lawyers start taking the US government to court over no, it's none of your business how much Bitcoin I have because you can't secure your shit either because almost every government department's been hacked. And you're like, so unless you plan to have, a cop in front of my house to protect my Bitcoin, I'm not giving you that information because this is the end result. And when you get hacked, criminals are going to come after me because this is a bearer asset.
That's right.
So that could be a potential case. Also, it's leading to things like this. Now, this is something that I said that this is what Tone Vays does. Tone Vays, when you go to tonevays.com and you buy, and you go to the store, well, actually the store is not managed by me, but if you buy something else, I don't keep your information for very long. I delete it. And I do that for your privacy. And it looks like CoinKite, the creators of, no, we'll get to that next, the creators of Cold Card, they're doing the same thing. So here they are informing you that they will not keep your personal information other than your email, and they will be deleting your address and other information. But hopefully this is actually a good thing. You know, the less information companies have on you, the safer you are. So I think more now the burden of proof that you bought something will also become on you. But this kind of helps many people. Jimmy, have you seen this email?
I did, and I received one because I have CoinKite products. So, yeah, I mean, this is something that Rodolfo is doing as part of, after this. They're required somewhat to hold a lot of these records, which is why a lot of these companies hold these records, right, for tax purposes or whatever. And this is the heavy burden of government regulation. But
let me push back on you on taxes on that one. They're required to hold a record that something was sold for tax purposes. I don't think they have to hold a record of who it was sold to.
I would challenge you on that. Depends on what jurisdiction you're in. Certainly, like, you can't fake having sold like 1,000 things to somebody and not give them any names or something like that. They need some proof that it was actually sold and not being used by you for tax purposes and so on. So, I mean, I understand why companies do it. Rodolfo is taking a courageous stance and saying, you know what, we're gonna at least get rid of these after 120 days, and he'll still comply with government regulators, obviously, but I understand why companies do it. It's because of regulation. It's because of government.
Yeah, and he also mentions, who else could potentially see that data, like credit card companies and Cloudflare and Stripe.
Yeah, I see that.
Right. Allow if that ledger file, like for those that paid with Bitcoin, if that information got leaked as well, that's even worse, right? Because now your name, your address, and the Bitcoin address you paid with, it got leaked. And this is why we need Taproot and Schnorr. Sooner the better, so we can have some more privacy. We're going to do a whole show on this soon, Jimmy, because I want those damn code changes in the code.
Well, it's not up to you. It's up to the users. So that's... And we don't even have an activation method yet. So
we have a little bit of an influence over the users. We did help with the user activated soft fork a few years back.
Sure.
All right. So let's move on to MicroStrategy. We already covered this a little bit on our last show, but they're buying more. They're addicted to Bitcoin. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of this. I mean, I don't really like one entity monopolizing a bunch of Bitcoin. You can see it here. MicroStrategy is now the owner of 70,000 Bitcoin, and that's company. Michael Saylor has an additional nice chunk of that. GBTC is different. This GBTC belongs to many people because everyone is trading GBTC, so you can't look at it in the same way. But the Block 1 stack is very concerning. The Mt. Gox stack is not concerning because that also belongs to many people, and that will be eventually liquidated sooner or later. But these kinds of things, the Tezos Foundation belongs to a dozen people. Block 1 belongs to half a dozen people probably. Those are concerns, and the MicroStrategy stack belongs to a single company. So things like that. I find them a little bit concerning. It's like on a scale of 1 to 10 of how concerning, maybe like a 2 or like that. Definitely not a 2 or a 3. It's not a huge problem, but it's great. It definitely helped pump Bitcoin. Those that are on Willy Woo's private newsletter, I'm not going to show anything proprietary, but this is Willy's chart of here. MicroStrategy announces that they're going to purchase 650 million. And this is where MicroStrategy's completed the purchase with an average price of $22,000 per coin. So they're in a slight profit. We're going to take a look at price a little bit later, but tomorrow is the big price show. I'll try to get Willie on himself to talk about it. I'm not going to give away what his views are from this newsletter, but if you look at his Twitter, I'm sure he'll do it himself. So there you go. So he's buying more. Jimmy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's totally free to do that. I think he's making a great investment for his company. I don't mind. Cedar fever again. Sorry about that. I don't mind that he continues to do that. You know, he owns 74,000 Bitcoin. I think the average purchasing price of all those ends up in the 14 to 15 range. So, I mean, it's a great investment for him, and like his MicroStrategies itself is worth about $3.5 billion. I can't imagine it not being just the Bitcoins that he holds being worth more than that in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and a lot of us are pretty damn bullish. I'm pretty damn bullish right now going into 2021, more bullish than I thought I would be. I know the price is already high, but I am very bullish, mostly because of the debacle in Washington, D.C. And finally, our last story is Bitcoin Optech year in review. Guys, please check out this link. Read all of this. These are all of the, the main highlights of Bitcoin throughout the year. Jimmy, anything specific you want me to click on, talk about? There's a lot here.
Yeah, no, I mean it's going to take you a couple hours to read it, and it's
going to take me a couple of days. It's going to take the smarter our audience, the majority of our audience that is smarter than me, a couple of hours to read. This will take me days.
Yeah, and there's a lot here, and the point here is that there's this persistent meme going on, especially among altcoiners, that thinks that, oh, nothing interesting is happening in Bitcoin. Well, here's your proof that there's plenty. And if you don't know about it, it's because you're, buying into altcoin lies, or you just are, don't understand what the heck's going on in Bitcoin. There is so much stuff going on. Lots of CoinJoin projects, lots of Lightning projects. There's Taproot and all sorts of interesting ways to make things work. So, that is a great summary. And if you're technical, worth reading completely in full. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, guys, this is about to become like an old, outdated graphic. This was part of my article on decentralization. And this is all of the tentacles of Bitcoin with the on-chain as its underlying layer. And if you want to read how these things are evolving, then you read this. Okay, but where I go there? Where I pull out? Oh, yeah, here. But yeah, shout out to Lucas Nuzzi for putting this together.
Yep, good stuff.
But this is the Bitcoin technology stack, and it's only getting bigger. So anyone that tells you Bitcoin is slow and it's old, and unfortunately, this also includes Kim.com, who many people texted me, Tone, what's wrong with your friend? And my answer was, Roger Ver has more money than me. So when Roger shows up at his house, he's able to use different forms of persuasion than Tone Vays when he shows up at Kim.com's house. That's pretty much your answer.
There you go.
All right. Mempool.
Let's look at it.
Let's go. Oh, by the way, transactions are cheap as hell right now. Considering the price of Bitcoin, isn't this absolutely incredible, man?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of miners are back online. They're totally profitable right now. So, although right at this moment, it's actually quite expensive. But I mean, that's because of the price action and so on. But overnight, put the 1 week or 1 month view.
I'll put it 1 month. It didn't feel this bad.
It wasn't because the magenta there is 1 sat per byte. the purple is 1 to 2. I mean, like you have to go up to green before it's actually like even considered decently expensive.
Yeah, we cleared the mempool of any like normal transactions a few days ago.
Yeah. And you could put in 1.1 sat per byte, like, and it'll probably get clear during weekends. Overnight, you're seeing things clear down to 5 or 6 sats per byte. Right now, we have a lot of transactions, 71 blocks, so 74, 75 megabytes worth of transactions in the mempool. But I mean, that's normal during the day. It's like 2 p.m. right now. Day before Christmas, there's probably a lot of people withdrawing and things like that. So that's normal, but we're going to head into, a long weekend. I expect, a lot of this to clear by Sunday. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe there's some end of year things that might happen or whatever, but it's something to keep in mind.
All right. And Jimmy, how's the new book going?
The new book is going really well. Thank God for Bitcoin. Forward written by Russell Kung. It's we've sold quite a bit. A lot of people are buying it by like the tens or dozens in order to distribute it to their friends and family and church members and so on. I'm really excited because Senator Lummis is going to read this book, and she's suggested to me that she's going to bring it to the Senate with her. So awesome. I'm really excited about that. And there's a lot of Christians in Congress too. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, we're working on the audiobook. I've been doing the podcasting tour through Bitcoin. Been on a lot of different podcasts. I have one coming out with Real Vision with Robert Breedlove tomorrow. Stefan Livera next week. Some more after that. Lots of different things. So very happy about it. It's going to be interesting going forward.
All right. Very cool. And of course, your other books, the little Bitcoin book. This is the one that I still give out to people on the basics of Bitcoin. And for your programmers out there, programming Bitcoin.
Still can't believe you got come once Tone and I have some time. We'll have something about Bitcoin and news or something like that, or shitting on altcoins or something. We got to come up with a good title.
Yeah, you know what? The next time you do like a little book sprint, I'm gonna get in on that. Like I'm gonna need like a couple of weeks head start.
No, you need to be part of the process. That's kind of the point. So
no, I'll be part of the process. I'm just gonna have a couple of weeks head start because
you can't head start. You have to be part of the process at the beginning. That's the thing. But yeah, Tone, we're gonna write a book at some point, and
we're gonna do it. No, let's do it. I want to get in on one of your little books, man. I have to. I'll make it work. I'm gonna bring someone with me that can write for me real quick my thoughts, and we'll get it done.
Yeah, you gotta hire like Brian Bishop to just type out whatever you're speaking.
Perfect. I'll fly Brian out. He'll ghostwrite my chapter for me based on what I think. No, I'm serious, man. This is gonna be fun.
No, we gotta do it. I have a goal to write lots of books. So let's make it happen.
All right.
Always more fun when there's more people. Let's look at the price, Tone, because I got some charts I want you to pull up after you do Bitcoin.
All right, perfect. Well, so man, GBTC is killing me right now too, guys. I know the premium crashed. Look, the weekly chart is consolidating, and this doesn't mean anything yet. The weekly overall is bullish. The weekly chart is telling me not to be concerned and stick with Bitcoin for one more push higher. Based on the MRI, this week is already half over. We have potential for 4 to 5 more weeks of upside, taking us close to 30,000. I would actually love to see a pop to 30,000. I think everyone would. But after a pop to 30,000, ideally, I would want to see a drop to 20, giving me a buy the dip situation. But what I want and what will happen are two different things. Right now, the weekly chart is okay, telling you, all systems go. Guys, Ugly Old Goat tweeted out the monthly chart and pointed to an MRI top happening this month. This is still, I think Willie Woo did as well. I think they both did. And just want to point a couple of things out on this. One of them is, yes, this is a monthly. Let me move this over so you can see it. Or I'll put it over here. Yes, this is a monthly MRI top. It just tells you to be on the lookout. The last time we had 3 consecutive MRI tops. Can we do that again? It's possible. I think 2 is more likely, because remember, that's 9 more months of upside that would have to happen in addition to this one, consecutively into a second MRI top. And the Heikin-Ashi look is actually cleaner. But I also want to point out that, to me, this all-time high in 2013 also had an MRI top. We were just off by a couple of dollars on a month-end close, and we missed it because this candle did not do it. If I pull up load chart layout, if I pull up only the Mt. Gox chart, if I pull up only Mt. Gox, you will see that there was, there it is, a second consecutive MRI top in November 2013. So MRI, Mt. Gox did it, but exchanges like Bitstamp broke it. And that's why you don't see an MRI top at the very, very high on the BLX liquid index. Now, the MRI did not call this top in early 2013, but clearly that wasn't the top for the year. That one was, and it called it perfectly, and it did call the 2011 top perfectly as well, and that was the first top it could have possibly called because we don't have any older data. So the indicator has been good, but the Heikin-Ashi version has been even better and cleaner, like perfect call right at the top, nice call right here at the bottom, and a perfect call right here at the bottom as well. And the Heikin-Ashi version is also currently at a monthly MRI top. Now, because we're in a cyclical bull market, I think that if this brings us anything, it can bring us a short-term correction. And that's why I still think it's possible for us to swing into 30,000 over the next few weeks, or the next month, over the next month, and then correct, but then still keep chugging away all of 2021. So I am still bullish going into 2021. I need to write my article going into the future. The weekly I already discussed. To me, this is all about the daily. I'm really liking how, well, we have to break this blue line, and we broke it yesterday, but we clearly did not hold the line. If we can break this line and it looks like we're going to close the day above that line, that's when we can accelerate. And the longer we consolidate, the more confidence I get in breaking this $24,000 line and going up significantly. I like the fact that for the last 3 days, you're continuing to make higher lows, very slightly higher. So the low yesterday was 22,624, and the low today is 22,700. So we did not break yesterday's low. I would like to see this candle close higher, something closer to that top blue line, but I am liking this. Once we get a new low close, that's a concern. As of right now, going into evening and into tomorrow, I remain somewhat bullish. However, on GBTC, you're getting crushed. And I only took 25% off my trade. You can see how the GBTC premium got annihilated over the last 3 days. We dropped from a GBTC premium of 42% down to 23%. That is a 20% correction in GBTC premium with almost no movement in the underlying price of Bitcoin. So your GBTC just lost like 15% of its value, only because of consolidation and not enough FOMO. So if we get that push to 30, the liquidity on GBTC could dry up. And this is where you have to understand the GBTC premium. I fully understand the GBTC premium, but because I was traveling all week through multiple states, I did not have a good handle and different time zones. And unfortunately, I wanted to get out and take the 40% premium, but I got a little greedy in trying to get the perfect top. I only got out with 25%. It's okay. The overall chart's still bullish. I have a little bit of dry powder to add to this, which I may do, not today, but tomorrow or Monday. I don't mind putting more in because I am bullish. I would like to put more in as we're breaking 24K. But right now I am still bullish, and I am waiting for that one last pop to get that, that retail investor in before a 20 to 30% correction. That's pretty much it. I'm just going to glance. Bitcoin dominance is going up. That's awesome. Ripple is certainly helping. Gold is slightly bullish, and the stock market is slightly bullish based on consolidation at the top. But if Trump remains president, there could be huge volatility in the market. Also, keep in mind, we're going into the holidays. Liquidity in Bitcoin is going to dry up, not only on GBTC, but also on traditional exchanges. A lot of people just don't want to trade. They want to enjoy their family's company, though they probably should have had enough of that for this entire year stuck at home. So expect extra volatility in both directions. Jimmy, what do you want me to look at?
Well, I want you to look at BCH BTC and BSV BTC because they both hit their lows.
Oh, what happened? I did not even know that. Oh my God.
So if you add them up, I think they add to less than 2% cumulatively now. But they are getting absolutely
wow. I did not know Bcash broke this line. Yeah. Wow.
And when it broke, it broke big on the way down. So I mean, you could do plus BSV BTC or something like that, and you can see that it's under 2%. But that BSV BTC is also at all-time lows.
Guys, this is like, when are they going to throw in the towel? When is Roger going to throw in the towel? I'm waiting. I need this thing below 0.1 because that's when it's F cash. Because I keep dropping letters every level. Right now it's still D cash, but it's going to become F cash. And from there's not much further to go. Ooh, damn.
Yeah, but you could look at BSV BTC.
I don't care about BSV.
Well, I mean, they dropped huge too, and they're at all-time lows. So
I was telling people Ferrari has done well, and MRI weekly top right there. Maybe it's time to take your profit if you were trading Ferrari stock.
There you go.
BSV
BTC.
BTC.
Yeah, the Bitfinex one. That's a good one. And you will see that, so you're going to have to shorten your time horizon and double click or something. Yeah. But basically, they're at all-time lows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, this is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. If they fall low enough, someone's going to double spend that shit.
I'm sure they already are. But the weird thing about the way BSV works on their mempool is that it's very hard to you would need to control the mining power to be able to do it. Like they refuse to relay anything that conflicts with anything in the mempool and so on, and it stays in there for weeks and stuff. So
right, no, I'm just saying, like, if it falls low enough in price, like some miner on a Bitcoin network is just gonna say, screw it, let me just destroy this thing.
Yeah, I mean that's what they were doing to Amory Sachet's fork of BCH. Yeah, I mean, who knows what the hell's happening there? But yeah, this is all sort of like the market healing itself. It's not just Ripple that's causing the Bitcoin dominance index to go back towards 70%. It's also the fact that all these other coins are being dumped as well, because, a lot of people are kind of spooked.
Look, I had my prediction in the beginning of the year that Bitcoin would hit 80% dominance this year. And the year started exactly where we are right now. And since the moment I made that prediction, we fell 10% in the opposite direction, even 12. And now we're back. And you know what? By end of year, we could be up to 7. We could be breaking this swing high Not going to get to 80 like I hoped, but maybe next year.
Yeah, I mean, I had my prediction at 75. I don't think I'm going to meet mine either, but I think 70 is definitely within reach, maybe even 71 or 72. Depends on how the market reacts to this Ripple news and how much more dumping there is to do. We'll see if people are harvesting losses on their altcoins.
Oh, also, I see people asking me, so I'm flying into DC in a couple of days just for lunch, so I'll be there. I don't know if I'll be inviting people, maybe. But people are asking me if I'm going to be in DC for the 6th. There's a big, march going on for Trump. I rented a hotel room because I didn't want them all to get sold out. I haven't decided if I'm going yet, but I have a hotel room, which I can cancel up to the day before. So at the moment, I'm leaning a little more than 50-50 that I'll go, but I'll keep you guys posted.
Sounds good.
All right, Jimmy, that it?
I think so. I mean, the BCH and BSV ones were hilarious. I can't believe it's below 2%. It's taken this long. We've been predicting it. Hopefully it goes below 1% cumulatively.
Oh, right. I need that's the thing. Like I'm cumulatively or not. If each one is below 1%, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean BSV is way below 1%.
Yeah, BSV is way below 1, but I'm just waiting for Bcash to get to 1%.
Yeah, which might happen if Bitcoin rises or these things dump. Either way.
Yeah, well, if Bitcoin gets that pop in the next month or so to 30K, this thing is probably going to go below 1%.
There we go. That's what I want to hear.
All right, guys.
I take more pleasure in shitcoins doing worse than Bitcoin doing well sometimes.
All right. Hey, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, Bitcoin's birthday is coming up soon. We're going to try to do an epic stream January 3rd. I got to start sending out invites. I want to beat the halving stream. It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging, but that's the goal. The goal is to make it as good as the halving stream. So keep that in mind, and I'll post more info. I'm going to do a big price show tomorrow. We're going to do a bunch of Q&A, hopefully morning Eastern time, maybe. I'm going to set that up first thing in the morning.
Sounds good. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait for January 3rd. Can't believe Bitcoin's going to be 12 years old already.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And
this song